Hello to all. After months of hard work, dedication, blood, sweat, and tears, the new theming of the Prime UI libraries is done. And I'm really excited to share about the new architecture and would like to give you an overview. So, what was the problem with the legacy theming that I call it legacy because we've been doing this for quite some time since 2008. Then we moved on to PrimeNG, PrimeReact, and PrimeView. PrimeNG back in 2016, faced in 2008. So the technology moves, the CSS moves very rapidly in lightning speed. So the techniques that we've used become outdated. So as of 2024, we reached a point where we had to update it to stay relevant. Otherwise, the products would become legacy. So this work started a couple of months ago, and now it's done. I'm really quite excited and thrilled to share about this. So the old theming was based on Sass, and we had a separate repository called PrimeView Sass theme, PrimeReact Sass theme, whatever. And you had to go there, you had to compile Sass and create this giant theme CSS file and move it to your project. And although it worked for PrimeFace for some time, it didn't work for these JavaScript-based libraries. And the problem was these theme CSS files, we were compiling them and putting them under node modules. And to do a simple task like dark mode switch, you had to extract them from the node module with webpack configs or manuals, and you had to do it, which was very, very, let's say, outdated. So, and you can see that, let's see what we have for PrimeView. By the way, PrimeView is the first one that gets it. PrimeNG 18 and PrimeReact Reboot version 1 will also receive this. So let's check out this one, for example, blue. So we have the theme CSS file that just defines primary colors and it imports some core CSS to generate it. And we have this file, which is not very optimized, a little big for your application. Although it's not in the bundle, it has to be loaded externally. And although you may also include the bundle. So the new theming is fully based on design tokens. It's based on a new architecture, and design tokens are mapped to CSS variables, and those variables also map to UIKit Figma tokens. And another main problem with is that you may see that it's not reshakable. So if you are only using like chip data table or input text, you still had to include all the other components. And the new architecture also includes optimizations, enhances the developer experience. So let's review the new one from PrimeView v4. So here, if you go to, let me show you a demo first. Okay, so this is a noir mode. Every theme has a noir mode. Noir mode is a special name for that black grayscale one. And we have 3 presets, Aura, Lara, and Nora. And here are the primary colors. In the past, we had to switch that giant theme CSS file, and you may see flickers and things because browsers had to deal with redrawing everything. And now, since there's a CSS variable for that, we can easily change these on the fly. And there's the concept of surfaces like borders, cart backgrounds, ground backgrounds, hover colors, and everything are bound to surfaces. Although in the light mode, you may see some subtle changes. They're really different in the dark mode. For example, here we can just play with like the bluish color, maybe full dark. I think this is called neutral, zinc. And you can just change everything on the fly from source. So you have different combinations. It's up to your imagination now how you like to combine this, and you can have a lot of different designs based on your clients, based on your company colors and things like that. If you're creating a product that you'd like to sell to different clients, and you may let them choose their own colors and make them customizable. If you have your own brand colors, it's easy to embed as well. And there is the concept of presets, and I will get to it in a minute. So the styled mode, by the way, this stuff covers the styled mode. Unstyled mode remains the same, which gives you little API, which gives you access to the component internals via DOM, pass-through sections so that you can include your Tailwind classes. And it's like the freestyle mode, I call it. There's no API to learn. If you know Tailwind, you can style these components with Tailwind. But if you want some well-designed API with some tight Figma integration, and that's where the styled mode comes in. And as I mentioned, it was based on SAS. Now it's based on new architecture. Okay, the design tokens are here. We have three types of design tokens: primitive, semantic, and the components. This is actually becoming a mainstream architecture in the design world as well. Primitive tokens are like, they don't have any context, like colors, blue 500, gray 200. If you have used Tailwind or PrimeFlex, you might see these as those utility classes. You can reuse them everywhere, right? To build your own components and utilities and mixins. And semantic tokens, they have a meaning, like the primary color or the content background or the highlight color, highlight focus background. And they usually map to primitive tokens, so that if you switch to primitive tokens, semantic tokens may change and things like that. And probably the most important one are the component tokens. These are the specialized tokens for the component. Every component has its own set, and that usually maps to semantic or primitive tokens. For example, button background, checkbox check background, tab view, header active color, they map to the primary color. And if you change the primary color, you can easily change everything. Or you can easily change the button backgrounds without affecting everything else. And we also have this feature called scope tokens, which is quite cool because you can change the tokens of a certain component without affecting the others, which I'll show you. Okay, so the architect design tokens are there, and we have some core CSS, and they have this placeholder CSS variables. Design tokens at runtime are generated to CSS variables. And right now, since this stuff is out, our design team has started working on mapping these design tokens to our UI Figma kit, so that we will finally be able to offer this Figma plugin to generate themes directly from Figma, which is coming up very soon. Okay, let's see what we have in the configuration. We start with, Prime Engine, PrimeRec will also get this. There will be a theme configuration, and we have presets. And a preset is a set of design tokens that our design team created with me, working with me. And I didn't get much of sleep or fresh air, but I created 3 presets for you guys called Aura, Lara, and Nora. Nora is from the name, it's mostly for corporates and government agents' websites. Lara is for generic common use. And Aura is our precious, let's say. Our design team has put in a lot of effort. So if you're in between, choose Lara. If you want something cool and modern, use Aura. If you're working on a corporate, maybe government project with some strict guidelines, it has some design cues from Fluent UI, US government agency, design guidelines and things like that. Not super fancy, but very highly accessible and does the job. Okay. So the theme, you choose a preset, and you can easily bring your own preset if you're building your custom theme as well. Or you may just choose one of these and just customize the colors and work here and there. And options are quite interesting because CSS layer is now false, and you can turn it by enabling it. Right now it's disabled by default. And this is for easier compatible with external libraries like Tailwind and Bootstrap, because they can easily overwrite and break Prime View and other Prime libraries code. So CSS layer is now default set to be false. It was true in the past. And the prefix is the name of the CSS variable prefix. It's default P, and you may change it to your organization colors, organization name prefix. And the dark mode selector is now system, which was not available in the old theming because you swap themes. There's no dark mode selector. And the Prime library doesn't enforce you. So the idea is that it integrates. It doesn't wants to consume your app. It's not a meta framework, right? So if you already have a dark mode implementation, that you switch the dark mode by switching a class name in your body, like my app dark or app dark, app dash dark, and you just set that name here, and the Prime UI library will integrate, and they also switch to the dark mode whenever you switch your application to the dark mode. And it's system by default. But in the showcase, we use the class-based approach, so we switch a class. And you can also make it stateful if you're using a local storage. There's no built-in because it's unopinionated. We like to give that control back to you. So it gives you plugin points instead. So we have 3 tokens, as I mentioned. You have this one's called for Aura. We have the primary tokens here, mostly colors right now, but when we introduce the layout and typography components later, we will have more stuff like paddings, margins, line heights, and things like that in the primitive sections as well. And you have various tokens like focus rings, primary colors, surfaces, default surfaces for light and dark mode, and you can just investigate here. For example, there's a form field. So the commonly reused tokens reside in semantic tokens because we have many form components, and it makes sense to create some common form field tokens so that input text maps to that, select maps to that, and things like that, although you may just customize them easily. And what we have, for example, here, in case you'd like to customize the cart you're using Aura, but would like to customize the cart, you said, okay, I would like to have my own preset that uses Aura by core, but I would like to change these tokens, and then you are creating your own tokens. So you may start with basic customizations from primary colors and things, or you can deeply go into the component tokens as well. And scope tokens are quite cool because right now we have 2 switch. This is the default one, and you may see that this gets the color from here. And this one is very customized because this is called local customization. I have an Amber switch, and I have this something called DT, so that it gets the design tokens from the Amber switch variable. The Amber switch is something like this, where the handle is 4 pixels, and in light and dark modes, we are updating the color. So they do not intervene, and it's based on platform. So since they are using CSS variables, we are not doing any magic and rely on the platform features, which allows us to implement things like that. And okay, so let's check out and finalize on the preset. So for example, we have the input text here. This is the Aura preset. Okay. So we have the primary color as the background. Let's make it bluish one. Okay. And the input border changes. If I switch it to Lara, it has this bootstrap look where you get a box shadow, and you get this time hover has the primary color, and the Nora is very enterprise and highly accessible, as I mentioned. It just gets bold and thick colors instead. And various components which have some different designs. For example, this is the select button, this is the Lara select button, and this is the Aura select button. And it gives you an idea how this stuff can be customizable. Tabs are quite characteristic. And for example, this is Aura tabs, where you have this animation, and this one is the Lara tabs, where the active border that is at the top, and this one is the Nora tab, and things like that. Okay, so the whole idea is that the theming is here, and we are now porting it to Prime Engine, Prime React. And it gives you many features that were not available, like now it's in core, there's no separate repository. So let's say whenever you update your application, you don't need to worry about the themes, and you can just dynamically build your themes within the core without an external repository. You can take advantage of CSS variables to easily customize using CSS, like the P primary color, or using JavaScript approach. You have 2 approaches to customize the colors, and it integrates well with your app, and it's very performant. If you are using data table only, you will also only get the style and the variables of the data table. And it's quite optimized for your bundle and the DOM as well. And that's where we are very thrilled and excited to offer this for free and open source, and looking forward to what you will build with this stuff. Okay, that's it for me. Hope you like it, and we are launching it soon. Please provide any feedback so that we can improve it further. Thank you, and see you in another video.